Why do you think these Fed governors are working so hard to put a June hike back on the table for the market?
Well, I think that there are two reasons. Policymakers at large are, really want to get back to policy normalization. I mean, worldwide in all the economic blocks, because we have had money printing since '09. There has to be a place for fiscal policy, structural policies, and that's very, very difficult. On one side you have Congress and politicians and elections, and it applies in all the other countries. And the second, more important reason in the US is the US is certainly by far the most resilient and best doing economy worldwide right now. So traditionally, of course, US policymakers have really focused on domestic economic conditions. And well, it's humming along, and you want to have policy normalization. And I guess that not every Fed governor, depending where you are sitting in the US, has the same kind of global perspective than perhaps somebody in New York.
The ramifications for the dollar, if the US is the only one that's normalizing, could be catastrophic for a whole host of exporters, couldn't it? And they are very concerned already ahead of G7 meeting in Japan about currency wars and manipulation, what have you. And obviously we've seen this China steel and Japan steel threat in the last couple of days as well. Do you think that actually if the US is the only one trying to do the normalizing, then we're going to have more tension in the system and hence more volatility in markets?
That's not just up to the decision of the policymakers on either side of the Atlantic. I mean, we are far away from policy normalization in Europe and from policy normalization in emerging markets. So, it's a global play. And I'm not so worried about a lot of politics related to US exports at the current level, where the dollar is trading against the euro, for example. I'm not. I'm simply not.
What happens if we get another rate hike this year, that follow-up rate hike that's been a long time coming since December? Couldn't we get the same reaction where globally investors are spooked? You see fund outflows from emerging markets, a slowdown in global growth again. Surely getting to a position where 3 rate hikes in the States is what some are calling. Getting to that position is going to be virtually impossible for the rest of 2016, isn't it?
Well, I agree. I mean, we had trouble in last August due to Fed policy expectations, China and oil prices. We had the same thing in January, and if it happens, I very much think that we will have the same situation again, because there are lots of country and corporate balance sheets really stretched because huge ramp up in sovereign debt and in corporate debt worldwide, and any hike in the US will have repercussions in those markets.